Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show, joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you as always for making this a part of your morning routines. It is very much appreciated. And good morning to those joining us in the chat box. As always, it's fantastic to see so many of you. Mr. E, good morning to you. To Lars, good morning. Good morning to Addy and Steve, Kevin, NSW, Olawale. We've got Hawkwinds, Temi. We've got Badman. We've got Popeye, Jaden, Johnny. No Fox given. Always important to say that, enunciate that correctly. Kerry, good morning to you. Christopher, Mike, Francois, Tom, Maberek as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you've had a really, really good week. It's Friday. Yes, it is indeed Friday, which is obviously always very much a good thing. And Tom Walters, thank you for joining up as a brand new member of the channel as well and supporting things here. That is very, very kind of you indeed. But today is a fantastic day. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a busy day at London Colney. It's going to be full of an announcement. At least one announcement today is expected. We'll talk about that shortly. And some familiar faces, because we've been talking about them for so long, are also expected to arrive at London Colney today as well. So lots to discuss, lots to get excited about. But there's also news to talk to as well. Let's kick off with today's stories. First of all, let me encourage you to go and watch yesterday's show. I was joined by Clive from the Arsenal Vision podcast to talk about how Arsenal's project is kind of growing and developing. We talked about the manager, we talked about Edu, we talked about ownership, we talked about transfers, we talked about kind of, where this club is, where it's going, what needs to change, what needs to continue being done to get even better. So yes, we talked about all of that and more. So make sure, if you've not given that a watch, I recommend that you go and do it. Granit Xhaka was announced as, I don't know what it says, Arsenal player, was announced as a Bayer Leverkusen player. Yesterday he left the club officially and will join Leverkusen for the forthcoming season. And Arsenal have obviously, as we know, got a very good amount of money out of this deal. More than £20 million will be received by the sale of Granit Xhaka. Really fantastic piece of business by Arsenal in the end. We've moved on. We are moving to new pastures, if you like, and getting that massive amount of money is a huge kind of benefit to Arsenal as well. Rather interesting. I don't know if this is just affecting you or me, but I've just tried to go on the Arsenal website and it's not working. I don't know if that's any kind of indication of anything that we should be concerned about, but the Arsenal website not working right now. I wonder if it's just me. For me, it's not working. I wonder why. I wonder what could be going on the Arsenal website to make sure it's not working at the moment. But yeah, Granit Xhaka is expected it's already been fully announced as a Bayer Leverkusen player. So there you go. We move on to our next story. Certainly Reiss Nelson's new contract is some more positive news for Arsenal as well. It was announced yesterday. That's why I was going onto the Arsenal website, because I was hoping to get the quotes up. I'm not going to be able to do that unless, of course, maybe it works on your mobile. Shall we have a quick check? Should we see if it works on phone? I'm trying. Yes, it does. It's working on my phone. Doesn't seem to work on desktop for some reason. But quotes about Reiss Nelson's brand new contract. I can get those to you now. Here we go. We are so happy to agree a new deal with Reiss, and we are proud that he is another young player who has developed through our academy and into the first team, says Edu. He's still only 23 years old, but he has made a significant contribution to Arsenal for many years. He has gained good experience on loan and has come back and showed just how valuable he is. Arteta says, Reiss is a player I have admired since the first day I was here. He has tremendous ability and is such an exciting offensive talent. Reiss knows how important he is to our squad and with the quality he has. It's great that Reiss has committed his future to us. He knows the club well. He grew up here, and we look forward to enjoying many more good moments with him. So it's obvious. It's obvious to me, anyway, that we are seeing Arsenal aim to keep their homegrown players, their Hale-end graduates. Of course, if you can sell a Hale-end graduate, it looks really good on the books because you've not invested any money other than wages in terms of a transfer fee into them. So they're protecting themselves in that sense. But it is certainly or for me at least, it is certainly a situation where Nelson has got all the pressure on him. It's make or break. It's no losses at all. It's no big deal in the sense for Arsenal. You know, they got nothing to lose with this. But for Reiss Nelson, it's everything to lose potentially on their side of things. So let's wait and see if he can be a massive success. We hope that he is, and I'm sure that he's got the capabilities of doing so. Now, Steve Round has left Arsenal, one of Arteta's assistant coaches who's been with the club for a number of years now, has left by mutual consent, an agreed decision taken that he would leave the club. What this means for the future remains to be seen. What this could mean for Arsenal and Arteta's scouting group. We actually talked a little bit about this with Clive yesterday, and we talked about Carlos Cuesta and his kind of how he figures in things. As I mentioned, really nice guy, very polite, very open to a chat. Carlos Cuesta, as you saw on the All or Nothing documentary, does like kind of the individual player chats and things like that on improving them individually. But there has been certainly rumours circulating with Santi Cazorla leaving Qatar that he is open to his next step. I don't think he wants to finish playing football, Santi. So it would make sense that maybe there's a delay before Santi decides to move into a coaching or an off-field position. But I'd love to see Santi Cazorla back at Arsenal. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but certainly there's suggestions flying about that Santi Cazorla, who knows, could find a way back into the Arsenal setup. I'd love to see it. Moving forwards to William Saliba, who yesterday, I've been told, signed on the dotted line his brand new Arsenal contract. Now, there has been some confliction of information about this. Certainly there was talk of a one-year option that was included into Saliba's contract that had been reported by a number of outlets. Certainly was something that was told to me, that there was a one-year option, and Fabrizio Romano saying there was a one-year option. And then last night, David Ornstein, of course, very well connected, and certainly would be deferring to David on everything nearly, has said last night that there is no option in the Saliba 4-year contract. So maybe there was some late changes in the negotiation over William Saliba's new deal. And I think that maybe there's been some late negotiation, late decision making on that aspect of the deal. But William Saliba becoming an Arsenal player and continuing to be an Arsenal player through and into the future is a massive, massive plus for the club. There's an expectation of an announcement today. Of course, now that deal has been signed, all the editing, the announcement. I hope we see another really cool announcement video. If you remember when Saliba signed, we saw his own, their own kind of mini announcement of his signing. One of the best videos I think we've ever seen produced of an Arsenal signing. It wasn't even by Arsenal. It was done, I think, through the people on Saliba's side. So maybe we get a similar video again coming out to celebrate the brand new contract that he has signed. I hope that's the case, because I think the last one was really good. There's always that bit. What I think about most, I don't know if you've seen this, I'm sure you have, the video when Saliba signed for Arsenal back in 2019, is this bit where you see Raul Sanllehi dancing in the background. There's a little bit where he's blurred out in the background, but he's dancing. He's his perspective. But yeah, I hope we see another announcement. But William Saliba, we had to sign him up to a brand new deal. We had to get this deal agreed, and it certainly put to bed any suggestions, of course, that he could, there is any issues with him or with Arteta, with the club. It's put all that to bed. It's ended the debate, and he will be an Arsenal player for the foreseeable future. And lastly, our headline story of the day is that Jurrien Timber and Declan Rice are expected at London Colney today to undergo their medicals. They will become Arsenal players and sign their contracts, and we'll likely see an announcement over the weekend. Of course, we'll probably see an announcement after I've gone on holiday, because I'm going on holiday today. But of course, we're going to see announcements whilst I'm gone. That said, I am hoping to do the morning 8 a.m. show still. So do make sure you still tune in. I'm hoping to do it, but I've got to test a lot of things like internet and accessibility and where I'm going to do it, because we're glamping. We haven't got a hotel room that I can record in, so it might be done in my car, that style of video. But let's wait and see. But certainly massive news expected over this weekend, and the announcements of both Declan Rice and Jurrien Timber is sure to be an exciting highlight of people's weeks. And I hope that we get one of the best announcement videos that we've ever seen. It's Arsenal's most expensive signing. It's Arsenal's second most expensive defender that is coming into the club over this weekend. Huge news for Arsenal. Cannot wait to see the announcements, and I'm buzzing for the brand new season because of players like these. So let's keep those fingers crossed for a swift turnaround of these announcements. Right, let's go to part 2 and your questions right after this. Of course, you can still get involved with our fundraiser. We've got, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. I know some people sent me some DMs yesterday, which I need to reply to. So I haven't replied to you yet. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. I just need to get around to it. I had a really busy day yesterday. I'm on holiday now, so I'm going to have a lot more time to respond to people. But yes, if you want to get involved, if you want to support a brilliant cause, if you're based in the UK, you can go to the link in the description and donate through the Cancer Macmillan website. If you're not based in the UK and you're based abroad and you would like to help support the cause, you still can, but just send me a DM via social media onto any of my platforms, which, by the way, includes Threads now. You can follow me on Threads. The big new thing. If people get, if indeed it survives a potential, I've seen reports this morning that certain other social media platforms not too happy. So let's see if it survives that. But at TomCantor94 is where you can find me on the Threads. If you are on Threads, that's where you can find me. It's annoyingly right. So that, just to clarify one thing, I've obviously, with setting up a Threads, my Instagram and Facebook accounts, which I get requests to naturally, because obviously I understand you guys want to see more content and stuff. My Facebook and Instagram have always been private. They've always been kind of just for my local circle of friends. If I've ignored or not accepted your follow or friend request, please don't take that the wrong way. It's only because those two pieces of social media I use for like my inner circle, if you want to call it that, but just your close friends. But because Threads is attached to your Instagram and Facebook, obviously it links straight into my Instagram, which you can see, like it's just a private account. But my Threads should be open. You can follow me on Threads if you for that, if you are indeed involved on that platform. So get involved. Right, let's go to the chat box then. Oximato says, will we have talks with Partey and Tierney over their futures? Yes, James Bend reported yesterday that Thomas Partey has turned down interest, it seems, or his representatives have informed clubs from Saudi Arabia that he has not really an intention of moving there at this moment in time. That doesn't mean that he won't leave, but it means that if he is going to leave, that a club in Europe is going to have to stick up a significant amount of money to get Thomas Partey out of Arsenal this summer. That remains open. Kieran Tierney has gone very quiet indeed. That said, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go this summer either, but at the moment things are very quiet on the Kieran Tierney front. Ben says, is the Balogun stuff real? Apparently he's put on Threads, he's got a much lower price. Yes, he did post on Threads a image of his transfer marked estimated value of 30 million euros. What I would say is that was basically, I think anyway, the post was he's the most expensive, he's most highly rated and highly estimated value of an American player. I assume that's why he was posting about it. If it was designed to get Arsenal to drop their asking price, that can frankly do one. We've had that enough already with Balogun. So if he wants to leave, if a club want to buy him, they're going to have to stand up a significant amount of money to go and get him, and that's just the reality of things. Ashley says, who would you choose, Tchouaméni or Valverde? Valverde, world class, without a shadow of doubt. Tchouaméni could become world class. Valverde is world class. Brilliant player. Abe says, hey Tom, if we do end up signing Partey, would you prefer a young signing like Lavia or more of an experienced option like an Anguissa or Sangara? I'd prefer the experienced option. I think Arsenal could do with, immediate quality and immediate replacement for Partey rather than someone that can grow into that role. Sangara makes a lot of sense. Anguissa, of course, has Premier League experience as well, but has done really well for Napoli too. I'm not sure that they would sell him though. So there you go. DJ Polar says, Tom, am I toxic that I've been so calm during this window? I feel Mikel is building a Joker/villain era team, and I'm so ready for the Arsenal to spoil everybody's party this season. Toxic? No, of course not. I don't know why you would think you were being toxic for being calm about things. I've been telling people to stay calm for a long, long time. I remember sitting here on the day that the window opened. I remember sitting here a few days after the window opened and a couple of weeks after the window opened, and I was telling people, you need to be calm. I don't know why I'm getting people jumping up in my chat book saying Edu out. I can't believe I'm getting messages saying, how can you back this process? How can you back these people? I can't believe I've seen people jumping around on social media and other platforms calling for both of them to be sacked. Quite frankly, it's embarrassing. So no, of course it's not toxic to have been calm throughout this. There's been absolutely no need to go over the top at all. So very much enjoying the summer transfer window and seeing what we can achieve. Let's go to scroll down a little bit more. Jaden says, Tom, do you think Reiss Nelson is a good competitor to Xhaka and Arteta can trust him? Personally, I think that Xhaka will get low fitness towards the end of the season if we can't get a right winger in. I think Reiss Nelson obviously has the question mark over his head still. I'm still not sure whether or not he's of a level that can compete with our starting options, but what he has shown is that he's got glimpses of being able to do that. You know, he's scored big goals. He's put in big, important performances at times when we've called upon him. He's moved above Emile Smith-Rowe in the pecking order somewhat. If he's given chances, let's see what he can do. But it's where is he going to get those chances? If you're Nelson and you know you're a winger, and not only do you have Martinelli and Saka ahead of you, but you've got Trossard, you've got Smith-Rowe, Jesus can play in a wide area, Kai Havertz has just come in. You must be thinking, where am I going to get those minutes? You know, very, very difficult to see how this works and how this is going to work for him. It works for Arsenal, gives us good depth. For him, difficult. Jeffrey says, threads, hopefully can give everyone who moan about Twitter somewhere else to moan. People love moaning. People love moaning about people who moan. It's just part of being human these days. I know, I think Twitter's quite flawed at the moment. I think there's obviously issues with it. And I don't know enough about this new platform yet to have an opinion on it, to be fair. But certainly there's plenty of flaws. The fact that I have to have a Twitter Blue to have two-step text verification to keep my account safe is frankly a joke. That is a massive joke. If it was all about like having a blue tick and having the ability to edit your tweets, which I think is a really good tool, a longer tweet and all of that sense, I wouldn't have any issue with it. I probably wouldn't even have Twitter Blue at this stage, to be honest, which is another issue. But like to have Twitter Blue to have two-step text verification. And I know some people say, why don't you just use a verification app? But it's not good enough for me. I like having my verification on a separate platform. It's just mental. It's just crazy that two-factor authentication should be paid for. It should be a right of having a social media account, let alone having to pay for that. Kevin says, do you not think with another loan, more experience for Lokonga, he could adapt and be a future DM at Arsenal? I also have the same idea for Tavares. I don't think so, Kevin. I think they both probably need to move to a different club on a permanent deal to help themselves and to move into a different avenue. I don't think Arsenal is the place for them, to be honest, at all. Esmond says, Nelson is good. He will compete with Saka. Saka does not have to play 90 minutes. I think Nelson is a great player and will surprise many people, but he does need to stay injury-free. And that was one of the things that he said in his interview after he signed his new deal. He needs to stay injury-free, and that's absolutely imperative for him. Jean says, you have less than 500 subscribers before you reach 50,000. Do you think you'll reach 50k before the longest day challenge? It's a good question. We've got how many weeks? We've got 3 weeks until we do our 72 hole golf challenge, of which I still feel incredibly underprepared for. We're actually less than 400 now subscribers away from getting out 50k. I am planning on doing something for that 50k. It might be after we've hit it, but we are planning on something to celebrate hitting that milestone. So Keep your eyes peeled. Will it happen before the longest day golf? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I'm also planning on trying to vlog that 50-day golf. 50-day. Imagine that. 50 days of golf. That sounds great. 72-hole day of golf. I'm hoping to vlog that for you and produce some content around that. So let's wait and see if we can get that done. Steve says we need to push for 250 likes. Come on, let's try and get to 250 on the live stream. Should be at least getting there. It's Declan, Reiss, and Jurrien Timber Day, people. Come on. William Saliba is signing a brand new contract. There's no excuse not to be excited and like videos at will with those pieces of news. So make sure you happen. Stephen says, with Reiss being signed, what do you think will happen with Balogun? I'm not sure the two are linked massively. So I think they're both separate profiles that aren't affected by one another's futures. I think if Balogun stays, it'll be because he's had talks with Arteta and he's convinced him this is the place for him going forwards, and he's going to get opportunities. I'd keep Balogun. I'd sell Nketiah. That's how I feel about things. But let's wait and see. Abe says, Tom, what are your thoughts on getting Sergej Milinkovic-Savic as a replacement for Partey? I'm all on board with that. All on board with it. 100%. Do it. Balaji says, Tom, how would you rate our business if the window closed by this weekend? If the window, let's say the window closes today, it's easier. If the window closed right now, it's a 9 out of 10 window for me. I maybe would have liked one more kind of forward, maybe a different style of right back coming in. But keeping Partey, keeping Tierney, keeping Balogun, you know, those three being kept, adding Reiss, Timber, and Havertz, I think is a really, really, really good window. So if it closed today, I'll be very, very happy indeed. But there's a long way to go. People could still leave. We could still make signings. So let's wait and see. Let's go to boom, 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 boom. Andrew says the speech is free. The service Tom requires. I don't know what you're talking about, Andrew, to be honest. Feel free to provide me clarity. Thibaut Pest says, would a Partey/Reiss/Ødegaard be the best midfield in the league? If so, why sell Partey? Potentially, it would be one of the best in certain scenarios. I do think that obviously some games you want to be able to use Havertz instead of Partey or Reiss. You know, have Reiss, Ødegaard, Havertz in some fixtures. But when we go up against Man City, being able to use Reiss and Partey would be a great dynamic to be able to use, you would think, wouldn't you? So surely we can, you know, surely we could certainly try to use that. So yeah, let's wait and see. Let's go to Sean says, what are your thoughts about the assistant coach Steve Round leaving? People are calling Arteta ruthless. What is was this his doing? I don't know, Sean. I don't know if Arteta, if how much it was Arteta's decision for Steve Round to go. I don't think it's one of those things that we need to speculate about. It's someone's job being, it's difficult to discuss it in that sense without knowing the facts. So I'd rather not kind of speculate in that regard. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Ashish says, Tom, Brighton are asking 100 million for Caicedo. Does that rule out us going for him again, even if we were to sell Partey? I think so. I don't think Arsenal value Caicedo over 100 million. So I don't think they will go in for him at that price. If Chelsea would have agreed around 75 to 80, maybe they would have been able to kind of hijack that deal potentially. But 100 million, again, with a lot of it being played up front as well, no chance. It's going to be really interesting. That deal for Caicedo, because he has basically been promised by Brighton he can leave. I don't know if there's a Champions League clause involved. I saw suggestions yesterday that there might have been. It's difficult to see whether or not Brighton would be forced to sell him, because if you think about it, he wants to leave. He's been given assurances he can leave, but if Brighton don't get 100 million, will they sell him? Are they going to keep him for another year unhappy? Is he going to be unhappy? Would he still play if he stayed? Difficult to know. VM says, you said confliction earlier, and that's not proper grammar. I'm human, VM, and I make mistakes, and I'm so sorry. That's all I can say. Let's go to Ben. Says, Tom, have you seen the nonsense that Rory Jennings spouts about Arsenal and TalkSport? I get very frustrated with his Arsenal views. It's up to you if you tune in to listen to certain people. I think there are lots of good people on TalkSport. It's a real shame that Laura's going. But I think there are people on there that do Harry, for instance, talks some really good stuff. I like Ade as well, who Rory does the show with. I thought he talks about some really good stuff. But, I can't say I agree with much of what Rory says. I thought his words on Granit Xhaka were disparaging, to be honest, and came from a position of someone that doesn't support the club that Granit Xhaka plays at, that doesn't understand, doesn't know him. I think that's that's where the words on Granit Xhaka from Rory came from. It's also someone that completely neglected the abuse that he received, that his family received, that his newly born child received during that moment that sparked what happened in 2019. Completely avoided context in his assessment of the Granit Xhaka thing. And it's always dangerous when you don't apply the full context of a situation to construct an opinion on it. So there you go. Still a funny comment in the chat. Elroy says, Pepe mentioned in his interview that Arteta's system requires a lot of intelligence, which he clearly lacked. I wonder which player will be the next himself that he didn't have enough intelligence. I don't think he would have said that, would he? I think Arteta's system requires dedication to learning your role and all of that side of things. So I think that's where it comes from in that regard. Intelligence is a broad word, isn't it? I think it's more dedication, commitment to learning what you have to do, and having the ability as well, of course, alongside that also. Anton says, Tom, do you think Ramsdale benefit from bringing in an experienced goalkeeper like a mentor? If so, who? Well, I suppose Scott Carson's been doing quite well at Man City, is he not? Maybe. I know a lot of teams do that. They bring in kind of experienced third choice options. Mark Schwarzer, I remember, went Chelsea quite late in his career. Tom Heaton's gone to Manchester United. Maybe Arsenal could do with adding an experienced figure in a goalkeeper in that regard. But Arsenal have always been a big fan of giving that third role to a youth option coming through. So I don't see that necessarily changing all that much, to be honest, in the near future, at least. Rami says, Tom, I'd really like to know who you think will be leaving the team this summer. I think Tierney will probably eventually go. I think Austin Trusty will go. I think Tavares and Lokonga will go. Holding and Cedric, I think, can go. Who else am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Have I said Cedric? I think so. I think that's maybe about it. I'd love to go on the Arsenal website and check, but I can't at the moment. Slingshot Day says, hey, Tom, do you think teams will set up with this lower block trying long balls against us this season? I feel we might work in our favour with Kai in those half spaces and Reiss defending the transition. I think that what we're adding in Reiss is someone who's good in the air as well, to deal with those long balls. I think he's really good at that. Had him and Partey into the situation, you got two options as well. It's difficult to see like how teams are going to adapt to us, because I feel like they adapted in other games last season. We still managed to get away from them. We still managed to play our game and outwit teams and beat teams at a canter. But let's wait and see what happens next year before we make any kind of early judgments on what might be happening with the opposition. We're going to have to wait and see what indeed does end up happening. Let's go to Meat B says, Tom, did you witness Elliot do the advert? Please tell me you were in awe. I was in the call. If you haven't yet watched listened to the last episode of the Arsenal Vision podcast, I was very honoured to be invited on by Elliot to be the guest for this week. So give it a listen if you haven't done so already. And yes, I was sitting there and watching and learning the ad read from Elliot. It was very, very good. Very good indeed. Pepe. I didn't say Pepe in my list of outgoings. Yes, I think he certainly will be someone that moves on as well. Lynn says, Tom, in my opinion, after all the fuss, Caicedo kicked off in January and wanted Arsenal. I feel that if we were to come in for him, we would get him cheaper because of the agreement they gave to Caicedo. Who knows? Potentially. Maybe that's why Chelsea are struggling, because they're not in the Champions League. Who knows? If Arsenal came in, maybe that would be different. But I don't think we will come in. I'll be very surprised. I hope we do. It'd be amazing if we did, but I just can't quite see it at the moment. Right. I see James's Let's Do This is certainly taking over. It's a movement, is I think how he described it. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It is very much appreciated. I will be, hopefully, but I can't promise, but hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with a show. I do leave for holiday today. We're going to be in a place where there's no hotel rooms, and I'm going glamping, as it's called. Don't know how the Wi-Fi is going to be. Don't know what the signal is going to be like, if I can hotspot or not. So just stay tuned, I guess. We'll wait and see if we can do our 8 a.m. show still. If not, I'll make sure to leave an update on the community tab, but I'm hoping to record stuff anyway, even if I can't do it live. I'm hoping to produce some content for you every morning. But thank you to everyone that's listened and tuned in. It's very, very much appreciated, and always a pleasure to speak with you. Drop a like on the video. Enjoy Friday. It's going to be an exciting day. There's going to be announcements. There might be more announcements today. There might be more over the weekend. Let's wait and see. It's going to be exciting. But you can be sure that, of course, when I'm back next week, we'll be bringing back more of the evening shows. There won't be any evening shows for a little while now. But certainly when I return at the end of next week, we'll be back producing content hand over fist. So I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Have a fantastic evening, weekend, and all the rest of it. Stay safe, stay well. And as always, up the Arsenal.